When AEW Fight Forever came out last year, there was a relative excitement for it. This was the first big wrestling game being released that was not a WWE licensed video game, and they had dominated the wrestling market for quite some time. And when it came to video games, now there was obviously going to be there's other smaller wrestling video games out there, but the big ones were always dominated by WWE. But that changed with AEW Fight Forever's release. And when it was released, I think everyone can agree that the gameplay of it is very much in the style of the No Mercy games, which is what they were going for. However, the big problem most people had was with the content. The creation suite was very bare bones. The roster had noticeable omissions in it. And AEW did seek to rectify this. There were various game modes that just weren't there, and there wasn't a lot to do. But AEW did seek to rectify this. They added the Stadium Stampede mode as a free update. Through various patches, they have added stuff to the creation suite. So that's all well and good. But the big thing people were asking us, hey, when are we going to get more people added to the roster? And AEW's way of doing it was questionable. Now, the very first editions were FTR and Matt Hardy, and Matt Hardy was done as kind of like a pre-order bonus, so whatever, you can still buy him separately for like $4. That's fine. And then FTR was like a day one DLC thing that you had to buy, where you got FTR and you got 2 extra mini games, which that's fine. I think that works perfectly fine, and everyone was willing to pay the money to get FTR and Matt Hardy. However, after that, AEW Fight Forever, the way that they have released characters has not gone well. And this is the start of the problem. At the very beginning, they had what they have dubbed now seasons. And season 1 saw them release wrestlers like Keith Lee, the Bunny. Mainly Keith Lee and the Bunny are the two I'm going to focus on as my prime example here, where the pack has 2 wrestlers and then 2 extra mini games, right? For example here. And the problem is, while that works with some, it doesn't work with all of them, because some people, maybe they don't want the Bunny, for example, they just want Keith Lee. Well, then you're basically asking them to pay like $12 for one wrestler, and the price of the packs as well is it's too much. It's too much you're asking for. FTR made sense because everyone wanted FTR, but when you're asking people to pay $12 for 2 wrestlers that sometimes don't have anything linking them, that is a bit too much. When you compare that to WWE 2K23's DLC characters, they were giving you like 5 wrestlers in a pack. This one you're getting 2, so it doesn't add up. And in every WWE pack, there's more, because there's more wrestlers. There's like, well, I don't want this guy, but I want that one and that one and that one, so that works. But for this one, it's like, if you don't want either of the 2, it's like, why bother paying for it? It makes no sense. And no one's really going to pay extra for the mini games either. Their mini games are just a little bonus. You're mainly there for the characters. So when you're asking us to pay this extreme amount for characters, that doesn't really work, and people were turned off by it, and rightly so. And that kept going into season 2 with the Acclaimed DLC pack. Now, the Acclaimed DLC pack did have an extra bonus of adding in a new arena, which that's a good one. The arena was the current AEW arena. The problem is, again, is this isn't something that really people should be paying for. I could understand them if they wanted to say you pay, like, say, $5 for the Acclaimed as a whole, right? Like $5, you get the Acclaimed. Okay, because then you get the Acclaim, you get their entrances, you get everything involved with them. That works. But the arena is something you should put out on your own to give to fans. It's not the fans' fault that the AEW Dynamite arena in the game is an outdated one. And if you are going to put out a new version of the arena, you should just patch that in an update. WWE 2K, they did the thing where they added in the NXT 2.0 arena for 2K22, I believe. They added in the NXT 2.0 arena for free in an update. That like they didn't make fans pay extra for the arena. They're like, well, we're just gonna give it to you because this is the new arena and we want you guys to have the new arena. And I'm sure there's no like real malicious intent with AEW. Like, I'm sure they want fans to be able to use the new arena, but the fact that you are putting it behind such a large paywall is again turning people off. It comes across very money grabbing, and this is something that people have had to deal with in the past with companies like EA and Activision Blizzard and all this stuff, where it's very much just, we want your money, give us money for this little cosmetic change. And then we come to the second problem in Season 2, which was the second pack, Beat the Elite mode, which is a good idea. It's a tower mode, essentially. You beat people, you beat a tower. It's very simple. We've seen it in many games before. Okay, that's cool. But again, you're asking people to pay like $12.99, $11.99 for this. This is, again, something that probably they wanted to include at the very beginning. So if it's something you wanted to include in the very beginning, why are you making us pay for it? This is, again, another thing you should just update into the game itself. Like Stadium Stampede, that wasn't a paid for thing. They just added that in. And that's fine. That's cool. It creates buzz that everyone can play this new mode. But again, you have just put it behind a paywall. It's very scummy, very money grabbing, and people are turned off by it. I'm turned off by it. I'd love to play Beat the Elite mode, but I'm not going to pay $12 for it. This is something you should just add it in for free. And then we come to the Storm is Coming part of the AEW Fight Forever DLC, which includes Toni Storm, who's someone people want in the game, but she's outdated. She's Outcast Toni Storm. It'd be one thing if it's the Outcast Toni Storm and then she has the Timeless Toni Storm as well, but it's just Outcast Toni Storm on her own. Like, what? Again, I'm not going to pay $12 for one character. That is way too much. You're asking way too much of us, and we're just not going to do it. So this is why AEW needs Season 3 to succeed. So far, they've announced that in Season 3, the first character to come out will be Swerve Strickland, and it looks like we're going to get a new arena, like a beach arena, which that is cool. It's a unique arena that they've never done in real life. It's very video game-esque, and we have a character that people want. Okay, that works. If that's one part of your Season 3, that's fine, but you need to cut down the price. Again, if it's one character, I think you should say $5 max, not even that. If Matt Hardy was $3.99, then every single character should be $3.99. Or if it's like a duo, then $5 max, And if it's a unique arena, like, I'm fine if you want to put this beach arena as a DLC arena, that's fine because it's not something that we've seen before. But if it's something like the current Dynamite arena, that's something you should just patch in. Like if it's a special arena like this, though, a beach one, I'm fine with that being DLC. Just don't make me pay an exuberant amount of money for it. And AEW really needs people to get back on board with Fight Forever because the game has dropped off hard. Very few people still play the game. The ones that do, like, I've stopped playing it. I did my walkthrough of the Elite mode or whatever it was, Road to Elite, and that was it. I played maybe another run off camera, but that's it. There's not much still in this game that I can see myself going back to. Beat the Elite mode probably would have brought me back to the game, but it's behind a paywall, so I'm not going to do that. Again, if you had done Beat the Elite as normal, people probably would have flocked to the game like they did when Stadium Stampede came out and would have brought a bit more of life into the game. But keeping everything behind a paywall, and a paywall that is way too much, turns people off and they just stop playing. So AEW really needs to get people back on board with AEW Fight Forever, and Season 3 is the time to do it, and they need this season to work. They need it to succeed. Otherwise, their game is dead in the water. This is a game they touted that they are going to keep updating and adding more stuff to it because they don't want to have a yearly release, and I admire that. But the problem is that if you keep saying we're going to add stuff to it, but you got to pay for it. Well, no, that's not really what you promised us, and that's not really how it works to keep people invested, because then they have to just keep spending out, spending out, spending out, spending out. Now, I know that works for some games, but that's not what you promised us for this game.